Wednesday night. It is the Jeff Traylor Radio Show, but this week the football team has the week off. So Jeff and the staff is getting ready for Temple in a week and a half, and we have some other things that we're going to do on the program tonight. In a little bit, we'll hear from Derek Pittman, the soccer coach at UTSA. He'll be on in the final segment. We'll hear from Carol Price-Torok. She's the volleyball coach, and Vann Stuedeman, the softball coach at UTSA. And from inside Roadrunners Sports, J.J. Perez is going to be in the hot seat here in a little bit as we talk about the first 4 games of the season and what to expect in the final 8 with the conference season starting next week. All right, many of you may or may not know this, but colleges around the country typically sign up with what we call rights holders in the business, media rights holders, and they're able to go out and sell sponsorships for the schools that are a little bit difficult for a university system to be able to do on their own. At UTSA, that is Playfly Sports. Robert Stockhausen is the local general manager at Playfly for UTSA. He joins us on the show. Welcome, and thank you for being here tonight.
Thanks for having me, Andy.
I'm glad you're here.
Right.
Let's talk about the role of Playfly. And you've got some fans out there, I guess. So,
a few.
Thank you. Let's talk about the role of Playfly. You guys have teamed up with a lot of local and regional partners to help support UTSA's radio broadcast, signage in the arenas, signage at stadiums, signage in the Alamo Dome, all kinds of different activation things that you do with the local community.
Yeah, it's been a wonderful run here. We've been in place for 29 months. And it's kind of flown by, to be honest. We're in our 3rd season, starting with the fall sports of football, soccer, and volleyball. It's been terrific. The support from San Antonio as a community for UTSA has just grown and grown, and the school has grown and grown. Our story, we talk about how, 30 years ago the school was 16,000 students, and now it's over 40,000, and alumni were 40,000, now it's 160,000, and you're getting in on sunlight before there was sunlight if you get in on sponsorship now, because the school is just going to continue to grow. The fan base continues to grow. The city grows. And as it grows, your business grows with partnering up with UTSA. And
football has had some tremendous success in the 6 years that Jeff Traylor's been here. So when you walk into somebody's office, they've heard about us.
Yeah,
they know about UTSA.
Right. It's not the little school in the suburb anymore. There's campuses all over the city. You've got UT Health San Antonio. People have family members now that have gone there. They have family members who have graduated. They've got alumni in their workforce on their payroll. All of that is feeding the economy. And what's been wonderful is the value of the brand, the fact that our student athletes are good students, they're good people, our coaches are great people and out in the community and beloved, makes my job easier. It's not easy by any stretch, but it certainly helps as far as tying brands to the institution, for sure.
All right, another part of Playfly is what we refer to as Playfly Max, and this is part of your organization that will not only create the sponsorship opportunities that UTSA needs, but also the NIL opportunities.
Right.
It's really important to make sure that the athletes are taken care of.
Yeah, it's been great because it's kind of peanut butter and jelly. The sponsor can come to us and say, listen, I'd love to have the use of the logo and be able to put that in my commercials, or say, hey, I'm a proud sponsor of UTSA, because the brand is so good and so valuable in the market. But the other side of it is, man, it would be great to have a student athlete endorse our car dealership or endorse our restaurant, or say, hey, we'd like to share this on social media that we go to this place, because they have influence too. And what's beautiful about that is it adds power to the partnership, and that those dollars actually go toward the student athletes themselves. It actually puts money in their pocket, and it's a totally legal way now for them to earn some money while they're competing for us.
Yeah, that's part of the collectives, plus the revenue sharing that the schools are now a part of. And UTSA, as every American conference school, has a pretty hefty commitment of making sure that there's at least $10 million there over the next 3 seasons.
Yeah, I've got a reason to get out of bed every morning, Andy.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got to continue to grow this thing, and it's not just about, hey, we want to make it larger, and hey, we've got to grow revenue. It's, hey, we're competing with South Florida, with Memphis, with Tulane, with all the
North
folks in
Texas
our conference.
too,
Yeah, North Texas, who all want to knock our block off, and they're going to try to do it not only with talent but with resources. And that's what we go about, is we go about knowing, hey, we're going to grow the resources here, and we're going to provide a lot of value to the businesses that team up with us.
Playfly and UTSA have a relationship, a partnership with iHeart Radio and Ticket 760, plus our FM station 93.3 KRPT, the Bowl, for the women's basketball games. But we're also all teaming up together for an event in October, a concert series at Cowboys Dance Hall. The Turnpike Troubadours will be there, and the proceeds from that go back into this NIL fund as well.
That's right. It's a great idea. It's one that was born of a lot of thought and planning, and I got to give credit to our deputy AD, Brad Smith, who quarterbacked this thing. But the idea is simple. It's like, hey, you could love football, you could not like football, you could like sports, not like sports, but a lot of people like the Turnpike Troubadours. A lot of people like music, like having a nice night out. This is a way that we're going to get people that have, interest in UTSA, and some people who have no interest in UTSA to support UTSA by putting on and sponsoring this concert. And so far, ticket sales have been brisk, so we want to continue to see that.
The one thing I've noticed in the 2+ seasons that Playfly has been part of this is the new blood that's come to the table. There's a lot of businesses I didn't even know existed, and I saw an article and obviously knew about it before the article came out. There's a sponsor in Mexico, Jumex.
Yeah.
It's the first Mexican-based company to do a partnership with UTSA.
Yeah. I want to highlight a few things. First of all, the Ancira dealership has stepped up, very large and supporting UTSA.
And we got their name on the field, too.
Yeah, that's remarkable. We're one of a handful of schools. Memphis in our league has a field sponsor. There's a few others. But to be frank, I get on these conference calls with other general managers at other schools, and they're asking me, well, how did we do that? Well, it takes tremendous people. It takes people from Ancira to do that, to make that live and happen. And we love the fact that they're getting a ton of visibility and notoriety for it. The Jumex story is a great one. To be UTSA and to be, a 56-year-old institution and a football program in its 15th year, and have the first ever Mexican sports sponsor in college athletics with Jumex is a tremendous story, and they're excited about opening this whole new market for their products. There's a crowd in Mexico, or even folks who've immigrated from Mexico, who know Jumex, and it's a household name, but now there's this whole other audience here in San Antonio and beyond that's going to know it and love it. And then lastly, the one I thought was really kind of cool, it came out of organically, we noticed a bunch of band members drinking ZOA, the energy drink.
Right.
And they just brought a bunch of cans in. They're blowing their instruments and getting thirsty. And I just said, hey, could I work something out? And we already had a relationship with ZOA. And so now the Sosa Band at UTSA is brought to you by ZOA Energy Drink. They get 500 cans per home game.
Awesome.
And a bunch of shirts that they get to wear that are co-branded. And now the band is getting sponsored, which is a first at UTSA, which is really cool.
For those companies, businesses, and individuals that want to get involved, how do they contact you?
I wish I had a cool, memorable phone number. Go to goutsa.com and go in the staff directory, and there's Playfly Sports, and you can contact myself or anyone on my team. But we'd love to talk to you. There's a lot of businesses that are benefiting, and there are more to come. We're going to find a home for you here at UTSA.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Continued success. We'll do it again soon.
Thanks, Andy.
All right. That's Robert Stockhausen from Playfly and Playfly Max. And you can get involved with UTSA. Again, go UTSA. going to talk to JJ Perez and get the scoop on everything inside Roadrunner Sports. And JJ, I have, other than the Texas State loss, kind of thought we're about where we probably were going to be at the beginning of the year. I thought 3-1, and there was a couple of things that happened in the Texas State game that went the other way, but a squeaker and getting a big win against Colorado State helped the other night.
Yeah, I think the Roadrunners are about where I thought they were going to be at 2-2. The people who would have thought 9 or 10 wins was possible this season are probably a little disappointed at this point in time, but I think 2-2 is a good spot for the Roadrunners. They still got their whole conference season ahead of them and a lot to improve on, obviously.
Well, I think 9 or 10 is still there, but North Texas is better than I thought they were going to be. South Florida's improved tremendously by beating Miami and are beating Florida and Boise State. And you certainly can't sleep on Tulane, and you never know what Army's going to be by the time the season gets to that point of the year.
Yeah, we asked Jeff today about the conference, and he's locked in on Temple already, right? He said he hasn't looked up, but if you do look at what this conference is doing, it's kind of scary. I think the upper half, which I would still consider UTSA a part of that, it seems a lot higher than what we thought it was going to be, just based on the power conference wins early in the season.
I don't think fans understand when you lose key players to injuries how devastating it is. And while, we've had David Amador miss a game, we've had Devin McEwen still kind of battling back, Willie McCoy still battling back from injuries, Jamel Hardy not playing at all. And fortunately, A.J. Wilson's come on to be that big target, that tall receiver, but Jamel was that as well. So the passing game, while improving, isn't exactly where they want it yet.
It's strange because, you look at how they finished last season, and if you just take maybe the last 6 games in a vacuum, that's a top 10 offense in the nation. So you would expect them to at least be there, but for whatever reason they're not. I do think the injuries is part of it. I do think Owen's struggling. I think there's just new guys, and the guys that are playing apparently aren't fully 100%. I think we learned that a little bit after the last game, and they're just trying to find a way to make it better. Every week they do something a little different schematically that it's like, oh, there's a new wrinkle that, oh, that was a cool play that might have worked, but for whatever reason it didn't. So they're just trying to find a way right now to get Owen on track.
What has worked is give the ball to Robert Henry.
Oh, gosh.
He has done some amazing things, and to have 4 70-yard-plus runs for touchdowns. I've never seen it happen before, and he had 2 70-yard runs in the Army and Coastal Carolina games last year that didn't result in touchdowns.
And you look that he's doing it with how the passing game is playing. I mean, they're stacking the box against him, and he's still doing it. And usually the way you get the box unstacked is you take shots down the field, and UTSA hasn't been able to do that. But for Robert to continually be able to have this production, it's not a fluke, 1. 2, he looks bigger, stronger, faster. And then I'm going to say this offensive line may be the best offensive line Jeff Traylor's had here. So
and a healthy one,
right,
except for Vinley.
Right. And they're, for the most part, providing Owen pretty good pass protection, and they're opening up the lanes. So it's strange because it's like the best of the running game and, not so good with the passing game. And can they put it together? What does the rest of the season look like? I think we'll find out.
Jeff and defensive coordinator Jess Lepp, the last couple of years, and I've said, Nana's out again. And you just see this look of despair because they know how good he is. And he's not 100% yet, but we know how good he is. And what he did against Colorado State and working him way back in, he is a difference maker at that outside linebacker spot.
We interviewed him today after practice, and he's actually torn his ACL 3 times. He tore it on the JUCO level too. So
the same one, right?
The same one. For him to be able to come back year after year, like the mental aspect of that. He said he almost quit after the last one, and he didn't. And he said Owen was one of the guys that helped him kind of follow through with it. So that's a pretty cool story, and he's also a really good player that they need. Like you look at that, and I mean, he's got the prototypical type of a pass rusher that, honestly, without him, I don't know where that comes from.
Yeah, and Jeff mentioned today that Owen called him out in the team meeting after practice, the mental toughness, to have the fortitude to do this 3 times. And Nana was quite moved that the quarterback recognized what he's been through.
Yeah, it's rough to be in that training room while everybody else is practicing and the games are going on and you're sitting at home and you don't know if you're ever going to be the same. And, I mean, Trey Moore never did what Nana did the other night.
Right.
And neither Jamori. So it's pretty impressive.
Marcus Davenport, I don't even remember him doing it.
No, so he's got all the skill set. It's just can they keep him healthy? I think he's still on a pitch count, right?
Yeah.
They're going to limit his snaps, going to build him up a little bit, but he could be a difference maker for the defense.
They got to get these first two in conference. Obviously, the first one's at Temple. I think it's a winnable game, but it's also a losable game if you don't play well.
Man, all of these conference games are a little bit tougher than you want them to be. Even Temple, they've played well. Rice has looked okay at times. So, I'm of the opinion you just gotta do what it takes to get the W's. And I said this earlier. I think they could rattle off 2 more wins, and it may not look very pretty. They still might be a work in progress, but you get to that North Texas win. Or that North Texas game, and it's circled. That's a rivalry game in my book, and anything could happen there. So, they may end up on a 4-game winning streak here, and it may not be exactly what you want them to look at, but they're still, on an upward trend.
Inside RoadrunnerSports.com, right?
Yep, 30% off, $1 a day. Sign up.
All right, thanks, JJ.
Thanks, Andy.
All right, we'll visit some volleyball coming up. Carol Torak's going to join us. She's the volleyball coach at UTSA. How are things going with volleyball? 7-4 in non-conference, pretty good start.
Yeah, it is a good start. Pleased. We have a really young team this year, so excited, for that youth to be on the court and getting a lot of experience and doing some really great things.
What is the challenges of coaching a team that has youth and a lot of energy, and a lot of times they don't know what they're not supposed to know?
Yeah, we kind of joke a lot on staff and in practice. It's like herding stray cats. You really like one day this person's like, oh, they figured it out. And then you're like, oh, they didn't figure it out. And so it's just a lot of mentorship and our older players continuing to talk to them and use their voices and be great teammates, and a lot of film sessions and just giving them some grace to figure it out.
How difficult is it to recruit good volleyball players and obviously in the NIL era keep them here?
I think for us, we're trying to just take it one season at a time, giving them the very best experience that we can. Make sure we're taking care of players at home. We have a lot of San Antonio and San Antonio area kids in our roster right now, which has been really great. They really get that home feeling and want to play in front of their own home crowd. So that's been really great for us right now. And then, what we have is what we have. Here it is. This is what we have. This is what we're going to do for you. But we're going to give you this great experience and want you to be a part of our family. And we want you to stay here for volleyball.
We talk about the culture that Jeff Traylor has created with football, but I know that Karen's done it with women's basketball. Austin's doing it with men's basketball. Pat obviously did it with baseball, and now the rest of the coaches are falling in line. I know that's kind of what you got to do to offset some of that other stuff.
Yeah, and I think success breeds success. When they see other athletes doing it in a department, they want to do it. They want to give a little bit more. They want to do an extra film session. They want to figure out what that takes and what that looks like. And we're just getting our players in front of the community, in front of people that want to support them and take care of them.
You mentioned recruiting San Antonio. How good is San Antonio high school volleyball?
It's really good. We have a huge base, a lot of players that play here. In general, volleyball is the #1 youth women's sport in the country, and we're just trying to make sure that we do our due diligence. And if we can keep kids at home, we want to keep them at home. And if we have to go outside of San Antonio, we're going to make sure that we're knocking down those doors.
And then when they get here, I'm assuming they're really eager to learn something that they may not have ever been taught before, or just a different way of doing things.
It really is crazy. I think in the club world here, it's about a lot more about making money than developing than it used to be. So we're having to develop a little bit more, maybe sometimes than we would like. But we're going to take a chance on those players. We trust our system. We trust our coaching and developing those players. We get them in and we train them up and just love them up and tell them that they can do it and continue to give them that grace and that space to get better. And then once they have that positive experience, they're talking to their teammates or they're talking to their club or people back home, and that's why we start those pipelines.
Conference season starts with Tulsa this weekend. Tell us about that.
Super excited to be in conference. Obviously, it's a juggernaut of our conference. We have some really great volleyball programs. Tulsa plays really clean. They really make you beat yourself because they don't produce a lot of errors. So we're really gonna have to play clean and just have fun and be grateful that we're at home for a home opener in front of our own home crowd, which has been phenomenal lately. So definitely encourage, if you haven't been out to the Convo to watch a game, come watch us fly around and leave it all out there because it's a really fun environment.
What are the traditional conference teams that typically year in and year out have good teams, and I assume they're still good this year?
Yeah, the juggernauts right now are Wichita State, South Florida, Rice, and then it's kind of bottlenecked right in the middle. We're all kind of in that 4 to 7, 8, 9 ranks where anyone can beat anyone, and just trying to make sure that we're strategic with what we're doing and making sure we can control what we can.
How much better do you think you are going into conference this season than maybe you have been in your past years?
A lot. The support, the fan base, who shows up and how they show up, it just really makes our kids eager to play at home. We really have a lot of physical high flyers right now, which is really beneficial and helpful. And at the end of the day, we're just telling them, just find a way to score kills. Just find a way to push those points, and everything else will take care of itself. And
I was watching the video stuff that you do each week for your media session. You're talking about working on serving and getting better at that. What do you need to work on there?
Yeah, just being consistent. We're used to playing in our gym, so at home we serve really confidently and really consistently, and it's our first line of defense. If we can knock them out of system and make it easier to defend, especially with those young players, being able to dig transition and earn points on the defensive end of things, but that starts from the service line and just being confident.
Who are some of the top players you have this year that have shined so far in the non-conference
Yeah,
season?
we've been really. Allie Tribe is the returner from last year, and she saw big minutes and started a lot last year and has done a phenomenal job carrying a 6 rotation load this year, getting it done from the passing side of things as well as attacking. We have a freshman in from Austin, Taylor Gaines, who is really coming on and filling that role in the outside position well. And then our high school teammate, Gigi, is a transfer in from Vanderbilt, a lefty on the right side, and doing really awesome things, as well as our setting is really spearhead. We have 3 setters that are all getting minutes and lots of time, but one from New Braunfels Canyon, and she's crushing it, Megan Hawkins. So really excited to see her, and again, just that homegrown talent.
How good is Tulsa? That's the home opener. You want people to come out there for that home conference opener.
Yeah, you're going to see really clean volleyball. They don't make a lot of mistakes. They're not super flashy, but they're really good at what they're really good at. So we just emotionally have to stay steady, make big plays, and make sure that we're taking care of the ball on both sides of things, but not giving away free points.
Awesome. Thanks as always for doing this. We'll look forward to the match on Friday night, and all the best success in conference this year.
Thank you. Birds up.
All right. That's Carol Price-Torok. going to scout the volleyball team or the softball team instead. It's brought to you by Cowboys AC. Call Cowboys Air Conditioning and Heating day or night at 210-934-2077 to take advantage of their 1-hour arrival guarantee. Cowboys AC is the official HVAC sponsor of UTSA Athletics. Go local, go Cowboys, go Roadrunners. Vann Stuedeman is the softball coach at UTSA. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I hope you're fantastic tonight.
We are all fantastic when we're hanging out with you. I always talk about Jeff Traylor is really good at motivating people and creating a culture, but I just can't imagine anybody not being excited to be around you. You kind of run the room a little bit.
I don't know. Being in the same conversation in the same sentence with Jeff Traylor, that right there is, that's a dream come true. I drop mic, I'm done. I can retire right now. But I want to have fun, let's have a good time. And this is something we do all the time. We're together all the time. We might as well enjoy our time together. So
Absolutely.
I try to keep a high-spirit environment.
And you had 21 wins last season, which was the most in 6 years. So I know you're looking forward to building on that.
We are. 21 was. I actually felt like we underperformed, so that's on the coach. So I hope all the administration's not listening, because that's just not a good that's a blemish on the old record. But I really thought we did underperform. So I am looking for a little bit more of a jump this year, and really looking forward to the new group of kids that we have, and looking for a little bit better of a year. Actually, a lot of a better of a year.
You had have a fall schedule coming up here soon. Talk about that schedule and the importance of a fall schedule as you get ready for February and March in the conference season.
Well, one of the best things about the fall schedule is that the freshmen, when they put on the uniform in February, it won't be the first time. So it just kind of gets a little bit of that, I'm this D1 college softball kind of jitters type thing out of them. And also lets us put everybody out there. Everybody has the opportunity, and see what they do under pressure or in the moment. We have a freshman this year, Arlette Hernandez. She is from the Valley and is a really good pitcher. And I'm looking for big things from her. However, she's not faced the best competition out of like high school or summer ball. And I'm interested to see how she's going to respond to facing really good hitters 1 through 9. And if she can mentally handle that, we might have us a star on our hands. We might have us a Frank Harris or a Henry on our hands. We might be having somebody special. So she's special. I'm excited about her. We'll have to make sure that she can control the mental part of maybe not succeeding every pitch like she's kind of had that opportunity to do so far.
So when you have a player like that that's really good, and whether they played good competition or not, what's the transition like to get them to this level to where they're comfortable and still confident that they can get those guys out?
It's a lot of work. First of all, they have no clue what that feels like. They are it's how they're going to respond. Number one, when they get shot in the toe or shot in the foot, it's okay, what's the gut reaction? And the coach has got to figure that out. Like, what is her initial gut reaction? And then you try to attack it from whatever that was. Was it like a poor pitiful me? Or was it, get back in there again? And you approach both those players a little bit differently. I'm not sure what we have with her yet, because we were going to play a little fall slate, and then we open up. I don't know. You probably don't know this yet. We hadn't released our schedule yet, but Ryan, our SID, is probably going, Vann, don't say this. But we've got Texas, Washington, and Nebraska opening up here in February, and so she'll have a good taste of getting. Yeah,
she'll get baptized pretty quick, right?
She'll get tested real fast, and we'll get to learn her psyche real fast.
You got a new coach on the team, Mac Morgan. Tell us about him.
Well, her,
yeah.
And she is a Texas Longhorn. Sorry for those Aggies out there, but.
It doesn't matter where they come from as long as they're good, right?
Right, and I'm gonna tell you what, she is. This probably isn't supposed to be for radio. So if I had a daughter, it would be her. I'm telling you, she is feisty, and she is competitive. She just came off the national championship for Texas. She pitched in the World Series in June. She knows exactly what it takes. The pitching staff she's the pitching coach. The pitchers are just falling over every word she says. And I am so excited about our pitching staff under her tutelage.
So when you have young pitchers, like you just mentioned, and you have somebody that's been there and done that at the highest level, that's a pretty good combination.
Oh, it's a great combo. One thing I really like about this staff is last year we had like 6 returning innings. And we have all of those pitchers back, plus some really good newcomers. So I'm really fired up with Mac's expertise. It just having been there, done that, they just listen. And she knows what it feels like to be under the gun. She knows what it feels like to not do well and then get the ball and be expected to do well immediately thereafter, 2 games later. She knows what it's like to be a member of a staff. They had a really good staff last year at Texas. And that's what we're going to need this year is a really good staff. And she's got just the perspective is so fresh and so relatable to them for the bullpen.
And who's the teams to beat once we get to conference play next year and hopefully get into that conference tournament and go a long way?
Well, the champion was South Florida last year. The 2 South Florida went to the NCAA and FAU went to the NCAA. They both got wins over big opponents in the postseason. They'll both be good again. Their FAU returns their conference pitcher of the year. And Wichita is notoriously always very good. And Charlotte, they're always really good. They have one of the best hitters in the conference, the best hitter in the conference. She was player of the year. So, those will be the top ones, that we're gunning, and then the others of us are really fighting to dig into those 4 or 5 teams.
Awesome. Thanks, Vann, for joining us. Let's all be fantastic and have a great night. Thanks so much.
Absolutely. Birds up.
All right. That's Vann Stuedeman, the softball coach at UTSA. Derek Pittman. goes quite a long ways with the football, and he's still the nation's leading rusher right now, and that's pretty awesome as well. Hopefully he has a really long career in the NFL, and the NFL scouts certainly like what they've seen from him as well. The play of the game from last week brought to you by SureMed Emergency Medical Service, proud to serve San Antonio with trusted ambulance services 24/7, 365. Well, this is live radio, folks, and I have just gotten word that Derek Pittman is still on an airplane. And since he cannot talk on an airplane, we're not going to have him on tonight. So we'll have to have him on another opportunity. So I get to fill the next 7.5 minutes before this show comes to an end with a number of things. We will tell you some of the things that we're going to talk about. The UTSA women's soccer team is 6-2-2 overall, and they're 2-0 to start conference play. And coming up next, they've got the game with UAB tomorrow, or later this week, and then they got to get ready for the rest of the conference season. But certainly having a really good year. And congratulations also go to Cameron Cloza, one of the soccer players at UTSA. She is the conference player of the week. They've won they won the Conference USA Championship a few years back, and certainly trying to duplicate that feat when it comes to the American Conference, and hopefully the successes that they had in Conference USA will kind of make its way into the next round here in the next few months and years with the American Conference too. They have a great facility out at Park West. If you've never been to a soccer game, you have an opportunity to go out there and watch that. But they do have the road affair tomorrow night with the Blazers at UAB. And so I said a minute ago, Derek's on an airplane and cannot be with us tonight. The plane's a little bit late. Maybe there's even some weather issues as they've been circling the airport for a while, trying to get themselves ready for that soccer match tomorrow night in Birmingham. All right, let's get back to football for just a second. I told you that Robert Henry is the leading rusher in the nation. And that's a pretty impressive stat right there. The last time UTSA had someone that was of this ilk was certainly Sincere McCormick. And if you'll remember back in 2021, he and Bryce Hall were going back and forth every week as to who the leading rusher in the nation was. And I think that Sincere would have likely won the rushing title that year. But in November that year, UTSA played a home game with UTEP. And that was also the weekend that Sincere's partner in North Carolina was going to have their baby. And it was decided that he would go back for the birth of his child, which I'm sure he did. Brendan Brady had just an amazing game for UTSA backing him up. And UTSA won the game. And Brendan basically got a lot of the yards, thankfully, for UTSA because they needed them. And UTSA had that second back that was in the same ballpark as Sincere was, and they were able to win the game. But Sincere probably lost the rushing title that year from the NCAA standpoint, mainly because he missed that one game. The one thing about Sincere that was so good is he hardly ever fumbled. I think he had one fumble before the Jeff Traylor era, and he had none in his time here with UTSA when Jeff was there. And so far, Robert Henry has kind of followed in his footsteps a little bit, and that's good to see how efficient that UTSA has been there. He is leading the nation with 624 yards in rushing. Ahmad Hardy from Missouri is at 600 yards, so the lead is only 24. And at 537, so about, what is that, quick math here, about 87 yards back is Justice Haynes from Michigan. And Cam Cook has the same amount of numbers. Cam Cook is from Jacksonville State. And there's a couple others that are in the ballpark as well. So we're going to continue to probably see a heavy dose of Robert Henry carrying the football as much as they can. I think the other backs are playing well. We're seeing Will Henderson get some carries and get some room. And Amarian Peterson as well has that game-breaking threat, the transfer from USC. Obviously, the passing game is something that Jeff talked about earlier in the week, is something they got to get better at. I'm sure that's part of the game plan as they work through everything this week with their preparations for Temple. During a bye week, you kind of have a little bit lighter load. So they practice today, they'll practice tomorrow, give the team off on the weekend, and then get back here next week and get ready for the Temple week in a normal week. It's a Friday departure, and the game is played at Lincoln Financial Field, which is an NFL stadium in Philadelphia. The UTSA played there 2 years ago, and the Temple team wasn't nearly as good then as they are now. Temple has certainly improved with the new coaching staff and the transfers that they've been able to get in there. And while the game against Oklahoma is really not a good test to determine how good they are or how bad they are, they were able to hang in there for a little bit until Oklahoma pretty much walked away with that and really didn't have much of an opportunity. But Temple is much better. They've got a different coaching staff, and everybody in Philadelphia thinks that this team can be good. They beat Massachusetts, they beat Howard, and they lost to 2 ranked teams in Oklahoma and Georgia Tech. And the rest of their schedule includes Navy and Charlotte and Tulsa and East Carolina. So they're probably thinking that they've got a chance to win a bunch of games. They also have to play Tulane and North Texas later on in the year. But those are the teams that are on their schedule going throughout the rest of the season. The UTSA game will be a big game for them. If you have not heard, that's a noon kickoff. We'll be on there at 10 o'clock a week from Saturday from Lincoln Financial Field. Don't forget to join us for the UTSA Athletics Hall of Fame induction ceremony. It's presented by BMW. It happens on Friday, October 10th, and this year's class includes legends from golf, softball, baseball, and administration. Get your tickets today at giving.utsa.edu/Hall of Fame and join BMW in honoring Roadrunner greatness. Again, no Jeff this week, but Jeff returns next Wednesday out here at Roca and Martillo. It'll be at 7 o'clock, and then we'll have the game in Philadelphia against Temple on Saturday, October 4th. That'll do it for today's edition of the Jeff Traylor Radio Show. It's presented by UT Health San Antonio. Thanks to Shane Carter, our studio coordinator, Dan Walters.